Hi guys, how are you today? I know it's been a while, but I've been working on a couple of things, and tonight I want to present to you a very famous dish that you probably had at your local takeout place or restaurant. It's a Kung Pao Spicy Chicken. Basically, we're using breast meat here, and I want to show you a little secret that I have that you'll be able to make your chicken breast as tender and as juicy as possible, okay? And basically, combining it with all the flavors that I'll be introducing to you, you're just gonna love it. This is gonna be delicious. But I gotta tell you, it's one of the most famous. It's considered a very popular dish in terms of spiciness. It's most common. Without the spices, you can actually have just cashew nuts. Therefore, you just made chicken cashew. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with it. And I'm going to be adding a couple of ingredients to enhance it and bring out a beautiful color. Okay. Basically, what we're looking for is taste. I'll give you a little bit about the sauces that we'll be using, the ingredients and why we're using it in terms of color and presentation, and basically, we're going to provide uniformity to the dish. Okay. So just watch me, and you'll really enjoy it. Okay? Hold on. All right. Basically, we're going to include fresh ginger. And so how we're going to do this is basically on the flat side down, so it doesn't really move much. This has been sliced in terms of skin. And we're just going to hold it firmly, and we're going to lean the knife against your fingers. It's going to be kind of difficult on this piece to tuck your fingers inside, but if you can just be really light about it, and of course you have to use a very sharp knife, we just cut off about 3 pieces of ginger. Now, how do we release the flavor, the oils in the ginger? Well, we like to just take a cleaver. This is 1 piece high carbon steel, right? You don't have to worry about any attachments, so this will never fall out unless you let go of it, right? And this is an all-purpose Asian cleaver. You know, we don't have all these different knives, like the Santoku, a regular butcher knife, you know, a spoon, and tongs. In China, before technology and progress came, this was the only tool they were able to use. It's cheap. Right? All you had to do was sharpen it. So what we're going to do with the ginger is just smash it. And basically, we're just going to leave it flat on the board, and with the flat surface, and we just smash it. And that's going to basically release the oils or the flavor of the ginger. So we're going to hold it down, and we're going to tuck the fingers in a little bit, and just go lean it, and we're just going to slice it up, and this will be our ginger flavor. This is fresh ginger now. This is not the powdered ginger, right? I'm an advocate of always using fresh items. The second item we're going to prepare is the garlic. This is a garlic clove that's been peeled. So we're going to use 4 of them. And basically we'll take each one of them, lay them flat, and then with the front edge of the cleaver, just push it, right? Now, you may think that, you know, having the garlic presser is better, but it really isn't. To me, it's like pain, but that's what they have out there. All right, so we'll set this aside. All right, now, let's take the chicken. For my purposes, obviously, I'm using a half a chicken breast, right? Half a chicken breast will feed 2 people. A whole breast will feed 4 people. And so what we want to do is, and it may be different than what you've been used to before, when you order takeout, that the chicken is sliced. Now, that, years ago, Kung Pao chicken was more of diced, right? So we're going to take the half of chicken breast, and we're going to cut it in half. We want nice small morsels because basically we're going to be eating it with the chopsticks. Okay? And we don't want huge pieces. Okay. So we'll chop it in slices like this. And then we'll chop off the fat. Okay. So what we have here is a slice, right? Now we'll cut it at a left angle. Then we'll cut it at a right angle. Small piece. Left, right. Okay? I'm going to do the same with all the other pieces. And notice it's the same size. And that's important. Because when we're stir frying, the heat is being distributed evenly. So if the pieces are consistently the same size, they'll cook completely in the same amount of time. You won't have to wait for a big piece to cook a little bit more, then it's overcooking the smaller pieces, right? So that's the importance of making sure everything is basically uniformed in size. Okay. Now, the secret to making tender, juicy chicken breast is we add some soy sauce, light soy sauce. Why light soy sauce? You don't want that much of a heavy flavor in the chicken. You want just enough that the chicken absorbs a nice light soy flavor. White pepper. This is about a half teaspoon. The soy sauce was about a half teaspoon. Granulated garlic, half teaspoon. Shaoxing wine, a tablespoon. Cornstarch. The cornstarch, it will seal in all the flavors of the chicken. So we'll just sprinkle it on. This also acts as a gravy maker too, a thickener for gravy if you want a lot of sauce. Then we'll take it and we'll make sure that all the chicken is marinated with all the flavors. You figure another 15 minutes. Let it sit. Make sure it's nicely coated. Okay? We'll set aside. Now, let's cut all the goodies that we want to include in the Kung Pao chicken. I choose red pepper and I choose an orange pepper. Color and crunch. So, if we know the size of the chicken morsels that we cut, we want it basically the same for the vegetable. We don't want the chicken to be cooked and then we still have to wait for the vegetable to cook. So having a uniform size is very important. You don't want to have small pieces of chicken and large pieces of the vegetable. And having all these vegetables, goodies, it adds more volume to your dish. So, although you may not have a lot of chicken, or maybe you're on a budget, the peppers, the onions will all make it look like it's a huge, huge serving when it's presented. We'll cut up the peppers. These can just be cut straight. You don't have to worry about it. Make sure that you keep in mind the size of the chicken that you cut, because basically you want the same size applied to the vegetables. And when you present it, it looks really nice. So for us, my relatives, my family, during my grandmother's time when she was around, she always took pride in how things were presented. Never really understood that because I was just a kid, but now I can appreciate that now. So we'll set the peppers on the side. Just imagine the chicken's cooking. You have the orange and red color. Now we have baby corn. We'll add a little bit of baby corn. And we have some canned mushrooms. Now we'll cut up the onion. So the onion, we want to basically keep it the same size as the chicken. So we'll cut it in half and then we'll cut it in thirds. So this is what we'll use when we use it in the stir fry. We'll set that aside here. Now, we want to add a little green. So these are beautiful, fresh scallion. We washed it already. We'll cut off the ends. And we want to use both the white and the green sections. So, you know, we don't want it that small, so we'll cut it in nice pieces. And we'll add this last because it's nice and crunchy. If you add it early, as you're stir frying, it will get a little soggy, and we don't want that to happen. As you know, or you don't know, when you buy some of the ingredients, and obviously when you buy in bulk, it's cheaper. So my wife bought this organic garlic, huge. If we left it out, it would dry up, and then we have to sell it, you know, throw it away. But basically, just put it in a container. Use any cheap wine that you have. The ginger will soak up the wine, will keep it moist for as long as you want. Does it interfere with the flavor of the ginger? No, no, it doesn't. Right? And the peanuts, as far as Kung Pao chicken is concerned, just regular store-bought cocktail peanuts. Right? Now, in terms of the sauce, we have a chili relish. And we have sriracha. Now, we can add a couple pieces of red chili. And we'll let it soak for a little bit. Okay. So it took about maybe 10 minutes to prepare everything. And that's what you really want to do. And during that time, your chicken is marinating and sealing the flavors with the cornstarch, right? Now, in terms of the sauce, no secret to the sauce. The main sauce that we have is called oyster sauce. Oyster sauce. Where did that come from? Does it have oyster in it? Yes, it does. It has oyster extract. The inventor of oyster sauce was Mr. Lee, and in the Asian culture, the last name is first, and then Gum, K-U-M, and Gay, K-E-E. And Mr. Lee Gum Gay was just experimenting in his kitchen, and he was using a little bit of oyster extract, added some salt, some coloring, some sugar, and some thickener, and he came out with this flavor, oyster sauce, and he felt it was really good. So he started using it in many dishes, and it got very popular in his community, and then it spread to local towns, then to major cities, then to certain regions, then went to Hong Kong, went to China, then went down to Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Burma, Thailand, Malaysia, the Philippines, Korea, and it became very popular. Why? It's sort of like a neutral flavor, right? It has its own flavor, but it doesn't overpower a lot of the ingredients and dishes in those areas. And so maybe some countries may use it a little bit more than others. Maybe the degree that they use it in Thailand may be a little bit less, but still, that oyster sauce is an integral part of a lot of the regional cuisines. It's the ketchup of the Southeast Asia. And so that's very important. The Shaoxing wine adds sweetness. And if you feel that you might have put a little bit too much salted sauces in it, the Shaoxing wine helps it break up the density, the concentration. The other sauce, another famous sauce, is Hoisin Sauce. Now you probably know about Hoisin Sauce with pho, the Vietnamese beef soup. Pho with sriracha, good combination for that soup. So you'll know that it's very sweet in texture and flavor, and we'll be using that. We have the ginger, fresh ginger and the scallion, fresh ginger and the garlic. That always adds another dimension to the flavor. And then we have sesame oil. It's a nutty flavor, and I like to include as much flavor as possible. That's the way I cook. But you don't have to use a lot, right? There's a difference between using a lot to get the flavor that you want versus just a dash, just that you have some taste of that flavor, and it brings out the flavor of the whole dish. And that's what you really want to do. Right, so basically what we'll do here is we have all the ingredients done. Now it's just a matter of stir frying. Well, as you know, as I told you before, the most time that's spent is in the prep. All right, the stir fry is actually pretty easy. All right, so we'll do that. Now, in terms of utensils and pans, if you have a non-stick pan, that's great. Don't be intimidated by the wok, because not everybody has access to a high carbon steel wok. I do. I enjoy it. That's part of what I learned on. I love the non-stick pan too, but when you're cooking, and if you're trying to make the same kind of flavor like in the restaurant with high heat, if you use a non-stick pan medium, it's going to basically burn and ruin the coating, the chemical coating. But on a wok, basically, it's high carbon steel, and every time you use it, those small bits burn into the wok itself and creates a natural non-stick surface. And so it's sort of like a cast iron pan. You have to season it after you wash it. You have to give it back the moisture that you took out with the detergent. So just think of a cast iron pot. How do you treat that? Same thing with the high carbon steel. So the more you use it, the more it develops that natural non-stick surface, which is natural, no chemicals, no artificial cancerous stuff. It's natural. All right, so that's one of the reasons why I like it. So let me just get the wok, and I'll be right back. All right, so we'll get cooking here and enjoy. Now, the wok, we always want to heat up the cooking surface, whether it's the wok or the non-stick pan. Non-stick pan, I'd recommend using medium heat. The wok, it's sort of like whatever the heat of the butane stove is, that's what I can use. Let the moisture evaporate, let it get hot, then we'll add oil. In terms of oil, I use canola oil. You may use vegetable oil. Others may want to use peanut oil. They swear that the peanut oil has more flavor. It has a little slightly different flavor, but it has a high flash point too, so you can't cook it as high as you want. But at this stage, I just say use canola or vegetable oil, okay? Remember, get the wok or your pan hot first, add the oil, allow the oil to get hot, all right? When you do that, then you have a perfect cooking condition. Now sometimes, when you add the oil, you may want to add the ginger and the garlic, or you can add the ingredients and then add the ginger and garlic. It's really your preference, all right? But anytime you're cooking, I want you to remember this. Always taste your food source. You'll know from that whether you have to add a little bit more sugar, a little bit more salt, right? All right, so it's all dissipated. It could smoke. We don't want to wait until it smokes. We'll add about 2 tablespoons of oil. We'll add the ginger and the garlic, and we'll stir fry. We don't want to cook. We don't want to burn the ginger and the garlic. All right. We want to fuse. Then we'll add the chicken that's been marinated. Okay. Now everything in moderation is okay. All right. If you think you're using too much oil, well, how often are you going to cook again? So maybe this is just a weekend thing, and it's okay. Always stir fry. Make sure every part, every piece gets exposed to the heat. And now you understand where if the pieces are the same size, they'll cook the same time. If you have one big piece versus a very small piece, it's kind of awkward and it's not going to be standard. And so the worst part is having the big piece that's still not done, right? And then the small piece is over there. This is not my way of cutting it. These days I know that when you order takeout that the Kung Pao chicken, spicy chicken, might be sliced chicken. That depends on who the chef is. They may do it because there's more surface area with sliced chicken, so you think you're getting a lot of chicken with it. So what's sticking here is cornstarch solution. Now, let's add all the ingredients. You're doing the same thing for the vegetable too. Let the vegetable be subjected to the heat as you're stirring. Never stop stirring. This is truly stir frying. I'll add the peppers. I break it off. You'll notice that I do leave the scallion for last because if you add it too early, part of stir frying, and because we're not dealing with high heat, it's going to basically get well done and wilted. We don't want that to happen. You see the color now? It's got a little red from the peppers. They got a little orange and a little yellow. This is a half a chicken breast, good for 2 people. If you want 4 people, use a whole chicken breast, right? Use a whole pepper. I use a half pepper, 2 half peppers. Okay. So now, let's add the oyster sauce. That was 2 tablespoons. Hoisin sauce, 2 tablespoons. This is the easy memory. Whatever the oyster sauce measurement is, same as for the hoisin. We'll take. Add a little Shaoxing wine. Now we'll add some of the spice. Add a little bit of sriracha, a little squirt. In terms of the relish, it's something interesting. You never had it before, you should try it. It's very hot. Now, sometimes we add dark soy sauce. Why? Dark soy sauce gives the dish some color. And like I said, whenever Chinese eat, they always like how it's presented. Right? So I'll add a little bit of dark soy sauce. And I would start with maybe a half a teaspoon. But you could always add it. Now remember, it takes a while before that color is released. Okay. Okay. So we'll let it cook for a little bit. It smells good. Sesame oil and the scallions are usually last. Now let's taste it. Let's get a piece of the chicken. Delicious. Very good. Salty with sweet, spicy, all balanced. Add a dash of sesame oil. Add some scallion. Stir fry it quick. Add the peanuts. As many peanuts as you want. Now it's done. Kung Pao Spicy Chicken, homemade. Look at how beautiful that is. Piping hot. So delicious. The sesame oil, the garlic aroma, the fresh ginger, the oyster sauce, the hot and the salty and sweet, and the spicy, the peppers, delicious. Okay. Now, with all my classes, I always like to try my creations. So here's my rice, my chopsticks. So here we go. The chicken is done. Very tender, very juicy. With the pepper. Piece of corn, scallion, peanut, delicious, onion,
Good. Another piece of chicken. Let's see if it's done. Done. Now, I chose not heavy gravy. You let the food create the flavor, not so much the gravy. Those chili peppers, the seeds, you felt it. So, that's my version of Kung Pao chicken, spicy chicken. You know the secret now to how to make a chicken breast moist and tender. I hope you enjoyed it. What I do want you to do is subscribe to my video so you'll be notified when I have other videos coming up. And please give me a thumbs up. Thank you again. I think my next dish will be, because it's springtime now coming and summer, the warmer weather, we're going to eat light. So my next series will probably be light meals, crisp tasting, using different ingredients like mint, cilantro. We're going to make the Vietnamese summer spring roll. That's really delicious, and that peanut sauce is fabulous. Maybe pho, which you may say, well, you know, you need a lot of bones. Well, because of the popularity and the inability to get beef bones, they have a little instant packet that makes the broth, the beef broth itself. You just have to buy some beef broth, and just like that. The noodles are easy. Everything's easy. So stay with me. I'm Chef Who Can. You can too. And come back again. And it was my pleasure to create the Kung Pao Spicy Chicken. And I told you my secret in terms of how to make it tender and juicy. All right? So let me know. Any comments? And I'll see you later. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.